In today's Modern Parenting, a fascinating new study is telling us more about how moving frequently during childhood may have an impact on our mental health as adults. Research published in the journal JAMA Psychiatry found that adults who moved more than once during childhood were more likely to suffer from depression compared to kids who stayed put. Joining us now is psychotherapist Dr. Robi Ludwig. Dr. Robi, always good to have you.
Good to be here.
Yeah, so let's start with the emotional and mental toll moving can take on kids. What should we know there?
Well, you know, kids are not in control of the moves, so they can feel angry, they can feel a sense of loss, they can feel anxious, worried about what their life will look like in this new location, and they're grieving. So it's a lot of emotions for young kids to manage.
Yeah, and we talked about also the frequency of moves, I'm sure can be disruptive. It was interesting in this study, it pointed out kids between the ages of 10 and 15 can be particularly impacted. Specifically, it said they were 61% more likely to suffer from depression in adulthood. What makes young people in that age bracket so uniquely susceptible to that?
Well, they have their routines already with their friends and educational system, and they're also tweens, so they're developing their new identities, and this may create a regression where they're super dependent on their parents. And so there's a lot of pressure academically and socially, and they may not have the words to talk about their experience as well.
Yeah, and disclaimer here, when I moved, I loved it. I didn't love it when my parents told me, but when I did in that age band, it was great. And I'm sure there's a parent out there listening and going, oh my gosh, am I a horrible parent for making my kid move? What are tips for a parent, a caregiver to help their child move through this process?
Well, I think a parent can really help guide a child, and also it's harder for a child who's an introvert. And also the reason why the move is taking place.
Explain that to them.
So, yeah, I think you need to be honest and say, we're moving because we have a new job opportunity. And in this new town, here are things that you can look forward to. And be available to your child to, you know, have their emotions, show them the new community, help them to stay in touch with friends. And they suggest even give a going away party so that you can say goodbye. But it takes time and patience.
I imagine moving down the street is different than, say, moving across the country, right, in terms of impact?
Absolutely.
Any tips for, let's say a family is not moving locations, but maybe the child is moving schools or won't be in the same area as their friends? How can parents navigate that?
A parent's voice is very powerful. So if you tell your child, you get a new start, you can build resilience, you never know who you're going to meet. You know, with every loss, there's a gain. So you help your child to connect with activities maybe they always wanted to do. Maybe it's art classes, maybe it's soccer, so that they have something to look forward to. And just be there for them as they're navigating this challenge, because it can create great strengths. You're training them for the real world. Things change.
That's
even if
real.
you stay in the same place, things change.
That is very real. Everything is always changing all the time. That's the one thing they don't tell you when you're a kid.
That's true.
When you're growing up. Dr. Robi Ludwig, thank you for helping us grow up with the kids in our lives. We appreciate it. Well, don't go anywhere. We have a lot more news ahead. You are watching NBC News Daily.